Welcome, everyone, to the What's Good Tampa show. Today, we've got a special friend and special guest of mine, Stephanie Swanz, on the show, who is a local entrepreneur, restaurateur, and we're going to do an interview with her and play, of course, that lightning round. We got that coming up next. Let's start the show.
Welcome to the What's Good Tampa show. What's Good Tampa show. This is where we talk about all things Tampa Bay and beyond. Coming to you from the Gimmick in Ybor City, here's your hosts, Austin and Sean.
Awesome. Welcome, everyone, to the What's Good Tampa show. Stephanie, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're super stoked to have you here. This is really exciting. So today, again, we're going to get all into like your history. I know a lot of people are excited about that. You're like very well known in the restaurant business here in Tampa, it seems. Like every time I open social media, you know, it's one of your restaurants or I see you somewhere. It just seems like you're very well versed in there.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't feel that way, but thanks.
Well, yeah. So that's
why she's killing it.
I know, exactly. And then we're going to get into more of that today. But we have kind of like a local tradition that we've been doing with all of our guests here, which is just kind of a lightning round. So there's no pressure. It's just kind of a fun way to break the ice and like get the show like off and starting, right? So,
right.
So if you don't mind, and Fitz, you're going to take the timer for me, or do you want to do the timer on your phone?
I got you.
Okay, because you've got 60 seconds, right?
Okay.
So the idea too is like first thing that comes, it's a snap. There's no wrong answers,
Okay.
Yep.
but it's fun and it's good because if you don't think about it too much, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Usually it's right on.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. You know how you've seen these games.
Tell me when you're
You know how
ready.
it goes. All right. So in 3, 2, and 1, favorite Tampa pizza spot?
New York.
Cuban sandwich or wings?
Ooh, Wicked Oak Barbecue.
Go to the Lightning game or a Bucks game?
Ooh, Bucks game when it's cold, Lightning game anytime.
Tampa girl or the cheeseburger in Paradise?
Tampa girl.
All right. Favorite brunch spot?
Grace.
Favorite current song?
Ooh. Cody Johnson's, what song is that?
Uh-oh.
Cody Johnson sings it,
Busch Gardens or Universal?
Universal.
St. Pete Beach or Clearwater Beach?
St. Pete.
Most underrated spot in Tampa that's not your own?
Ybor.
Texting or FaceTiming?
FaceTiming.
Podcast or playlist?
Playlist.
Vodka or beer?
Vodka.
And Stone Cold or The Rock?
The Rock.
51 under a minute. She did it.
She did it. Great job. That was fun. Round of applause, Fitz, if you don't mind. Fantastic job. Actually, I think you might actually be the first person to actually make it in 60 seconds.
All right.
Right?
Second.
Second. Okay.
Yep.
Second person to ever do it.
The last one that was on, who was it? It was,
Greg, maybe.
yeah, he got it by like 2 seconds, but she's the fastest.
I was going to say,
wow.
I'm okay with holding the number one spot.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, again, thanks for joining us. You know, I know you have kind of a long history when it comes to how you started your restaurant business and everything, which you've told me a little bit about in the past. And one of the reasons why I was so excited to talk to you, this is, again, a little story from the heart of mine, is that...
we love those.
We love those here. So when I very first started my Tampa's Life channel, again, there was very few people that actually like responded to me when I was reaching out to them. And sure enough, you were one of those very first people. So I've always held you and Empamamas, dear to my heart for that special reason, because again, not everybody.
Did you do a review over there?
I did. Yeah, I did. Well, really, I reached out because I was like really getting into food photography at the time, and I wanted to just go out and just test like taking photos. And so I was like trying to start this little Instagram of like food photography, and I reached out to so many people, and a lot of them were actually like rude and like
Really?
yeah, like no, thank you, blah blah blah, and which was kind of just down, made me feel down and like what am I doing?
But now people get a hold of you.
But sweet people like Stephanie responded and allowed me to come in, didn't ask no questions. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. I'll always remember that.
I think it's because you were launching the shirts at the time.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
And I had a Tampa Girl shirt, so I had to make sure he was one of my competitors. I had to keep him close at first.
Oh, so it wasn't so sweet.
I love it.
It wasn't so
I love her
kidding.
style. I love it.
yeah, that does sound like something you would do.
Definitely.
Unbelievable. Well. Again, I've read a little bit about your story. I know you graduated from the University of Florida. Mm-hmm. Were you originally from Tampa or the Florida area?
Yep, born and raised here in Tampa, Florida. Went to Plant High School.
Okay. Yeah.
So grew up down in South Tampa. And then went to school when I was 17. I was young, graduated young, and actually stayed in Gainesville for 13 years. So I stayed after school for 13 years and enjoyed Gainesville for quite a bit.
Did you really liked it up there, huh?
Yes,
Obviously.
I wasn't stuck in college by any means, but Gainesville's a really cool city if
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
not in school as well.
What I don't like spend any time in Gainesville. If somebody's up in Gainesville, like what's there to do? I know obviously it's a school town and sports and everything, but what else is going up in Gainesville? Like, what's there
High
to do?
Springs is one of my favorite areas. There's
Okay.
a ton of springs to go visit up there. It's one of the best natural diving spots
Oh,
in,
wow,
the,
really?
in the nation. Yeah,
Nice.
it's absolutely gorgeous. But lots of time spent on people's farms and hanging out with friends and family and all that kind of good stuff.
Very cool. And then so what did you go to UF for? Was it for marketing or?
I went to school for event management.
Event management.
Yep.
Okay, because I read something about you where it got involved in like the country music business.
I
or
did.
sense?
Yeah. So after college, I met a friend who, actually, I was just at a show one night and I heard this guy sing and I was like, damn, he's really good.
Uh-huh.
And I was doing some marketing at the time with my current job, which was at Hilton Hotels, and just kind of presented an opportunity to him, say, hey, can I help you out a little bit? And it really just took off. Helping a friend took off to now booking 10 to 12 shows in 1 year with national acts, and I would get him on these national acts by actually reaching out to the venues and telling them that I was a concert photographer. I
Wow,
fake it till
how
you make it,
about
fake it till
that?
you make it, right?
Yeah,
So
awesome.
I bought a camera, and for some reason, I still to this day can't tell you how to use a camera, but I can absolutely take a picture in the light.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I don't
got
know
it.
what it is or how I do it, but I was able to capture some pretty damn good concert photos.
Yeah.
So I would send these photos to these venues and say, hey, when these country artists come into town, I'll take photos for you for free if you
Yeah.
get this guy on as an opener.
Yep.
Because when they would travel to some of the smaller bars in the state of Florida, they didn't have to bring their openers with them if they were on like a bigger tour.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty cool. So they'd find locally, like, hey, this guy's
Yep.
coming up. That's sweet.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's cool. I mean, that goes back to the hustle, right?
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
you
Totally.
see, and people I think nowadays like forget that. Like, I was the same, and I felt I was a little bit offering a service too, just like you were, as far as like I'll take these photos for you for free, and it's providing something. But again, not everybody looks that way. But that's the hustle you have to go through.
And the
Like,
kids these days, they don't get that too. We had this conversation a lot. People were like, how do I get out there? I got to get on social media. I got to become an influencer. Well, it starts at the ground level, because let's be clear. If you have a brick and mortar and you're trying to do business and you have somebody come up saying, I'll take free photos of your food and promote you, that's the ground level. It's not finding you on Instagram, finding pictures, doctoring them up. And that hustle really, I wish, would come alive and well again, because it really isn't, because now everything's on social, everything's outside of our realm, and there is no more hustlers that just roll up to, we were just talking earlier, walking the streets on a daily basis, letting people know who you are, and eventually that pays off. Go up and if you believe in yourself and what you can do it for free, because then they'll see the value and they'll overpay you.
Right.
All the free work you put in, you'll get back tenfold if you're good.
Sure.
Now, if you're not, that's on you.
Absolutely.
you'll find out quick, right, if you're not good.
Absolutely. And you definitely need that confidence behind you, right? So
Yeah.
without confidence, you have nothing. So,
Oh, agreed, 100%.
Definitely.
The confidence goes a long way. So that's quite a transition from where you are now, which we're getting to doing, concert events or getting openers for country music concerts. So how did you make the transition to, getting into the food business? And I know that's, again, a long story, but how did that all kind of unfold?
I always knew I was going to be my own boss.
Yeah, I love that.
I did. I don't know how to explain it. I
Yeah.
knew that there was something bigger than what I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
Out there for me. And I got to a place where I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired of other people's bullshit.
Sure.
And I'm sorry, I'm allowed to cut.
Oh, yeah.
quite a few
Yes.
times. And I recognized that it was time for me to move on and do my own thing. So I quit my job. I moved on, from helping him out. At a certain point, you can only help people out to
Sure.
what am I looking
Like
for?
like they want to help themselves at some point. They got to help
You can leave
themselves.
the
Yeah,
horse to
themselves,
water,
right?
can't make them drink.
Right. So I decided to move home to Tampa. And Empamamas was something that I had started in Gainesville with just friends and
Yeah.
family, like selling at tailgates, taking them to tailgates, taking them to parties and stuff.
Yeah.
And the name had developed in Gainesville, but the business hadn't yet. So
Yeah.
I had, at the time, I had the name, the social media accounts,
Mm-hmm.
but really wasn't gung-ho on opening Empamamas at that point. I really
Yeah.
didn't know what Empamamas was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be maybe a catering company, if
Yeah.
anything. So it was either really go down that path or get into real estate.
Okay, got it. And so how did you get the name? I heard a funny story about that.
I was at a show, and a friend of mine was in a chair, and he was very drunk. And for like 3 or 4 weeks, we had been trying to figure out this group of friends that I had. Like, it was like everybody was telling me, you got to sell these things, you know? And I was like, all right, well, help me come up with a name. Like, I can't, help me come up with a name. And he just slouched over and said, "Hey, Empamama." And I was like, all right, that's
the drunk
it.
guy.
That's it.
So thanks, bud. He doesn't remember that, but thanks, appreciate it.
It happened.
So the next day I secured the website or the domain, the Instagram and the Twitter at the time, and the Facebook.
Wow.
And I just sat there and I just had it. As a matter of fact, the domain had expired 2 weeks earlier. So I picked it up for like $11.
That's funny.
So but yeah.
That's wild. So
I
it's
got
kind
a
of like the
question,
name
too.
came first.
And we like to do this with people that we talk to. So the day you quit your job and made that leap, even though it probably was tough in the beginning because you really have to believe in yourself more than anything, would you ever trade that decision in ever in your life?
No.
You're so glad you did it. And do you find that you had to make that move to really know that now my back's against the wall and this is what I had to do to become successful?
I will say that that's the hardest part about the whole process.
Absolutely.
Is actually finding the guts to do it.
And when you do it, does it change your life?
Absolutely.
I would agree with you.
But I don't know how to explain. If you have the mentality and that confidence behind you and believe in what you do,
Yes.
you're not going to fail. You're going to figure it out.
And if you do fail, you're going to fail upwards.
Absolutely. Because without failure, you're nobody.
Nobody.
Right?
Got to
So
get L's. Got to get L's.
You're going to have your days and whether it's a small win, a big win, or a small loss or a big loss, those kinds of things are what makes you bigger, better, and stronger.
I love it. And it's just so good to hear that too, because so many people are so scared and they're never going to know if the grass is greener. And we always use that because maybe it isn't green. Maybe it's brown for a long, long time. But if you can change your life and make yourself wake up in the morning and be like, not only just I'm my own boss, because everybody's I'm my own boss. Yeah, but if you're not, if you're not your own boss, but you're at home all day,
Right.
that goal won't work out.
Yeah.
Well, like if you believe in yourself enough and you truly believe if the back's against the wall, I can do this myself under any circumstance, I see that you can fail yourself to success.
No doubt about
And
it.
it's just awesome to hear another story like that.
Yeah, because he likes to give me crap all the time because I am the person who says you have to prove a concept first before you just jump out and quit your job.
But what he's saying though
you're
is
disagreeing.
He understands. I'm just saying he can't get a plan set up because then he has to be prepared for this thing to be able to pull that trigger. And I'm saying sometimes, and that's cool because that's personal choice. I'm not making fun of him for it. I might have made fun of you for certain things. But like it's on that personal, like it's not just if you have confidence, quit your job because that we obviously know that could be a disaster. You have to be prepared for the losses, I believe.
Well, I also, when I say I quit my job and moved home, I literally at the age of 30 quit my job, moved in with my parents.
Love it.
And
love it.
I mean, the first week I was home, my mom was like, "Hey, a client of mine, she's a real estate agent. She's like, a client of mine is moving down from New Jersey. Would you be interested in babysitting?" I'm like, "Sure, I'll pick up some extra money."
Definitely.
And still at that point, I had no idea what I was going to do. But point being is that I made the conscious decision to know that I was going to figure it out and I was going to take the time to do it. I had a little bit of money in my savings account, so I was prepared for it, right?
Yeah,
but at a certain point, that money was going to run out.
Definitely.
So, I had to quickly make that
Yeah,
decision, right?
Take me back to that moment you quit, like that gut feeling. Do you remember what it felt like?
I do.
Yeah? Like, I feel like it would stick with you, right?
Yeah.
Did you do the Jim Brewer scene from Half Baked? Who's coming with me?
Right? No, I didn't do that. I think I had a bigger aha moment when I actually bought the truck.
Okay.
So when I finally wrote that check and I
Yep.
received the loan, I obviously needed a loan to start out, and I've got a loan from a personal friend. And I think that was my biggest aha moment because it was like, it's real.
Yeah, got it. When you were making the empanadas at first for you said for the tailgates and stuff, was that a business at that point? Were you getting paid for that or no? You were just doing that for fun?
That was, and those recipes were insane. If I can make those, so good.
Oh,
if
that
I can
sounds
make
awesome.
them, we're going to be launching some TikTok content over the next few months. And one of the things we're going to do is, kind of some kitchen sessions with me where we make some off the menu recipes.
Love it. What a smart idea.
Yeah, that'll
very
be fun
cool.
stuff, and they're really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you basically were doing that more for fun, the catering thing, but you secured the name and all that stuff like you talked about, the domain, And now you said you quit your job, you moved home, you're back with your parents, you paid for the truck and said food truck is the way to start. Why did you choose the food truck route?
So that couple that I was telling you about that moved home from New Jersey had a food truck.
Okay.
And in addition to babysitting for them, I worked on their food truck. It was like the it thing at the time. It was really growing in the Tampa Bay area. And my thought was, I really haven't decided fully what I want to do yet. I know that if I had the truck, I could do catering, which is initially what I thought I was going to do. But I could also take my name, my product to the people. I didn't have to wait for people to come to me.
Sure.
So the food truck was like, all right, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it, and we're going to be the best in town. And that's exactly what we did. So we hustled for about 6 months, put a business plan together, built the truck out. Really prepared as much as we could, and then launched in February of 2016.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Like I said, when we first started the show, like there was like a buzz about it, just like immediately it felt like, and you never really lost that buzz, which was really cool. So walk me through a food truck business. What was like kind of the ups and downs of that? Because I know other people who've asked me like, hey, I'm thinking about starting a food truck, or I want to invest in a food truck. Will you go in with me? And I'm like, it sounds daunting. I don't think it's as easy as people want to make it seem to be. Talk about the hustle again. I would imagine that is an extreme hustle. Tell me a little bit what that lifestyle was like.
So if you see a food truck on the side of the road, stop and give those guys your business.
Sure.
It is very, very, very difficult.
Yep.
They are the accountant. They are the booking agent. They are the person that goes shopping. They are doing the prep. They are doing the staffing. They are doing their payroll. They are doing every part of the business, plus taking on the stress of being a business owner, plus taking on the stress of figuring out how to actually make money and keep this thing alive, right? One of the hardest parts is also the physical part behind it. So for a basic lunch shift, if you're working a lunch shift from 11 to 2, you're starting your day off at 6 o'clock in the morning, prepping, doing whatever you need to do, or sometimes prepping the day before for that lunch shift and not getting home until 5, 6, 7 o'clock, depending on where your event was, just for a 2-3 hour shift sometimes. So in order to make it worth it, at that point, you really need to run a double. So now you're getting home at 11 o'clock at night. So you're working a 6 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night shift, and you got to do that every day.
And it's you doing it, so you don't have to pay somebody else to do it.
Yeah, because you're starting out. I mean, I think the first year my dad used to joke with me, and because he helped me with my bookkeeping, and he's like, "Hey, you made 17 cents per hour this week. Good job, you know." Hey, but you know what? There was that sweat equity that was going into it. So.
Yeah. Was the goal always to go brick and mortar, or was when you started was the vision like, oh, I'll always have the food truck, and then maybe I'll have 10 food trucks and.
You know, for
Or you didn't even think it
for as much of a planner as I am,
Yeah.
I don't think I ever envisioned it to get to the point it's gotten to, or to have grown as quickly as it has. But I'm glad it did.
Yeah.
I will say that much. So I'm glad we're at where we're at.
Yep.
I'm glad that the things that happened along the way happened, because I've become a firm believer that everything happens for a reason.
Sure.
Oh, definitely.
And I've noticed that, and I haven't been able to recognize why things were happening sometimes during some of your losses, right? Some of the times where you were, had those bad things happen to you. But 6 months later, a year later, I was like, that's why.
Oh, exactly.
And so that's a little bit of a twisted question, but I do know that I am thankful for where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Well, it's perfect. It takes a certain kind of person, though, for 6 months to work for 17 cents an hour.
Yeah.
That's the give.
Yeah.
And everyone talks about the give take. Like if you told somebody, I'll pay you 10 cents an hour for the next year, but then you're limitless after that, there's a very small amount of people that will do that, even though, because everyone wants it now. That's what's become with the social. And that's one thing I wanted to ask you too is, I know you have a pretty good social media presence. What is the number one thing you do to get people to pay attention? Is it just constant contact with these people, consistent content all the time? Or is there certain like tricks of the trade that you learn throughout time to really get people to pay attention and to like, hey, I'm hungry today. And I'll be honest too, now I'm going to go down there for lunch because it's in the front of my mind. And if I like it, I'll go back and go back. And it's one of those things that all it takes is that one mini billboard or one person talking about it. You like it, where it becomes a consistent thing. Yeah. And what's been some of the wins for you to get people to pay attention?
So I will say that, full disclosure regarding social media, I don't run my social anymore.
Sweet.
Kira Andrews with This Baby Eats does it, and she does an incredible job. Now, with that being said, I think our marketing has started off really with a word of mouth element behind
Definitely.
it.
Grassroots.
Again, I was born and raised here in Tampa. There's things called 6 degrees of separation. I think there's more like 2 degrees of separation with me in the Tampa community. I know a lot of people, and I'm very thankful that my friends and family really bought into what we were doing and really were supportive of that. And they are the main reason the word got out. They really, really are. They really supported us, and I'm forever thankful for that. Once we moved into Armature Works, we're in a very lucky position, and that opportunity is once in a lifetime. It is the it spot in town, and they are just people. And so we are very, very fortunate to have people that, in the beginning, it was a very strong Tampa scene, but now I feel like it's shifted to where everybody takes people when they come into town.
Yeah.
I was just saying that last weekend.
Right?
It's almost a tourist attraction.
It really
tourist
is.
spot now.
You'll drive from Orlando to go there.
Yeah, our demographic has changed quite significantly over the past few years. But also, I don't have to market if I don't want to, but we do. I pay somebody to do it because I know I'm going to get that additional exposure, and I think it's really important. At this point, now I need to capture all of people outside of Tampa, the ones that are coming into town saying, I get messages from people in Germany and all over the U.S. saying, hey, we can't wait to try you. We can't wait to come back and see you again. So I think, pushing it, through your outlets is important. Kira takes incredible photos, mouth-watering pictures.
Yeah, she is
we
great.
have friends like, Austin and Tampa's Life who will, help create content for us. Whether that's through, just partnerships with one another, or if we pay them, whatever that may be. But most of the time, it's through our social media outlets that we get that engagement.
Yeah, and you guys do a fantastic job. And just like those ideas you were just talking about are so creative, and not a lot of other local restaurants are doing those type of things. Plus, again, you guys started great from the beginning with the branding. I know Casey, who did your logo and everything, does.
Oh yeah, I have to obviously mention Casey.
She's amazing. Does fantastic
Incredible.
job. So like all your branding and all that stuff has been on point. But yeah, like you said before, the support system too is like so crucial to making that happen. And you build a support system by, again, supporting others, and like I'll do any collab you ever need me to do just because of the relationship that we've built. You don't have to ask me twice.
Me too now.
But I always tell people that Empamamas is my favorite inside Armature Works, and I know if you guys go there, you'll absolutely love it. But yeah, my point being too is that you build that consistent reputation. Yeah, at first you're getting a lot of traffic, like you said, at being at Armature Works. It's a great spot, but you got people that are continuing to come back. Like myself. So that means you're doing something right for sure.
We have about a 25 to 28% return customer rate.
Wow, see that? Yeah, that's fantastic.
At a food hall like that,
that's fantastic.
That's pretty high. So we're happy with that.
So walk me back. How did you get the Armature opportunity? Is that a story you're allowed to share?
Definitely.
Okay. How did that come about?
That's
Because
a good one.
that was you nailed it.
So I would say about 6 months into starting the food truck, I was at a red light and I was on Facebook because I shouldn't be texting and driving. I don't.
Red light, you're good.
But I was at a red light, and this article popped up about this food hall moving to Tampa. And basically it was this building that had AC, a roof over it, and bathrooms on the Riverwalk. The stalls were essentially the size of food trucks, and all I could think about was, I know the area, I know the location. Now add those other elements into it, this place is going to be a home run. Because I was doing the same thing every weekend, except we didn't have bathrooms. We couldn't take the weather element out of it, and we didn't have a roof over our heads. Oh, and by the way, you don't have to move the truck or your kitchen every single place that you go. So I just had this gut feeling that it was going to be a home run. So I pulled over, sent an email, just a general inquiry, and ended up meeting with them. And the gentleman that I met with at the time is no longer with the company, or was there for a very short time. Basically, it was just like, you're not a good fit. So I was like, all right, well, we'll just keep doing what we're doing.
Sure.
And then a couple months later, a food truck friend had been reached out to about a rotating spot. And there was a stall inside Armature Works that used to be a rotating location, and they were looking for small businesses to go in and have like a 4-month stint there. So I ended up having another meeting with the new director of operations at the time, and I brought some food, and I brought our Tampa Girl bacon wrapped plantains and some orzo salad to the office, and the whole office loved it. We hit it off, and
That's awesome.
They offered me the opportunity to be a 4-month rotating vendor. Great. So they had secured the first 2 vendors at that point. Well, Armature Works was getting ready to open in February of 2018. So November 2017, they called a meeting together and basically had all the vendors come in and said, hey, this are the last couple things we need to work on. Want you guys to be prepared for da-da-da-da-da-da. So it was the first time I had the opportunity to actually be introduced or meet ownership. So when the meeting started, we went around the room and they introduced everybody. And I was like, hey, I'm Stephanie with Empamamas. But what these guys don't know is that I am the second rotating vendor, and I'm never leaving once my stint's over. And it kind of became a running joke with the owners of Armature Works. Chaz Bruck, who is roughly my age, and I have a lot of mutual friends through just both growing up here in Tampa. Mm-hmm. So I would see him out at different events and stuff, and I'd be like, hey, Chaz, have you figured it out yet? You know, I'm not leaving. You know? Then January came, and he's like, Steph, I got to tell you, I just don't have the space for you. I don't think it's going to work out. But, you know, I'm really excited for you to be a vendor here for a few months. It's like, all right, you know.
Right, yeah,
but
sure.
I was like, well, let me know just in case, you know. And then a month later, they called me and were like, one of the vendors fell through. Would you be interested in moving in early? And I'm like, well, let's talk about what do you mean by early? Am I staying long term, or are you just going to put me here for 4 months? Because I can't confuse our followers, our customers, etc. So he's like, well, if you add tacos to your menu, we'll make it happen. So on a handshake.
So that's how the tacos got there.
That's how the tacos.
What an interesting story.
So
they were looking for tacos.
They were looking for tacos, clearly, because here's we got muchachas. So on a handshake that day, it was Friday at 11 a.m. We agreed to make that happen. We were going to worry about the lease and such later on, but they're like, oh, so can you move in tomorrow and be ready to open for business? So that same night at 11 o'clock at night, my dad, my sister, and I moved all of our stuff in.
Oh, wow.
And we started serving food at 12 o'clock the next day.
Oh, my gosh, really?
Yes, used one fryer and did like $6,000 in business, which is great with one fryer and with whatever product we got.
Wow.
By that night, I was like, we did it. And then I was like, oh, well, tomorrow I got to go shopping and figure out how to have food again. So it was crazy in the beginning, but our first year there, we went through a complete front and back of house renovation, all while remaining open.
Wow.
So we would be open during the day, shut everything down, go in at night, and paint the walls and do whatever we needed to do to change it up.
Wow, holy crap! So how did it get to where it is now, or like where is it going like today? Like what's kind of the next steps for? I mean, you're in Armature Works, you're killing it. I mean, every time I go there, there's a long line, and I'm there all the time, and there's a long line. What is I guess next for Empamamas?
You know, I will say this about that line. There's something special about Empamamas where people just like to come visit us. I don't know if it's our vibe or the energy, and so that line just never ends. I can tell you, though, we make a very, very strong effort to keep it moving quickly. So what's next for Empamamas? That's a great question. I don't really know yet.
Yeah, okay.
I think, the past year when Muchachas opened, we spent the last year really focusing on the culture of our company, and really just putting policies and procedures and really nailing down the bones of the business even more. Empamamas was really solid, but after COVID happened, we still had a rebuild time.
Sure.
Because we had a reopening with basically a whole new team. Yeah. So it took some time to get our groove again, and we really spent the last year figuring out the same thing with Muchachas. So for those of you that don't know, Bubba, who's my boyfriend, and I basically went from his food truck and Empamamas to 3 restaurants and a food truck all within like 30 days of one of each other.
Wow.
So it was a little insane last year for us.
I imagine.
I don't really know. I know that there's growth behind what we're doing. It's just really about finding the right opportunity. I need something that's going to make my ship sail, not sink it.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
It's really just about the right opportunity that comes my way.
Yeah, awesome. Well, and you mentioned Muchachas, so I want to talk about that a little bit too. So Muchachas, I know, is your newer concept. How long has it been now since Muchachas has been open in Armature Works? Over a year.
A year and 2 months.
A year and 2 months. So you just hit your year anniversary.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's very cool. So tell me, how did that come about? Because we all know they have tacos. Is it Berea? Am I saying that right? Berea tacos.
Yes.
That's kind of the specialty thing there. So what made that concept come about? Was it like, oh, Armature Works really loves tacos.
Right.
Maybe I need to get up a new taco.
Yes, it's kind of really what it was.
Okay.
So during COVID, I made a very hard decision, not hard decision, but conscious decision to make sure I did things like pay my rent on time, pay my bills, even though we weren't open, right?
Sure.
That was difficult for a lot of people. I thankfully had some money saved that I was about to buy a house with that I put back into the business to save the business when we closed. So I made a very strong, conscious decision to make sure I did that.
Smart.
And I think that helped a lot along the way because it showed that I had some guts behind our operation and what we did. But during the shutdown, I basically approached them and I said, hey, if something comes up along the way, I am interested. I don't know how I'll make it happen or where I'll find the money to do it, but I would love to, another opportunity. And just throwing that out there kind of made the whole deal happen. So a couple of weeks later, they approached me and they're like, yeah, we want you to do something. Well, then like a week later, like, oh, we're going to do it ourselves.
No.
I was like, dude, you just felt like Santa Claus on Christmas morning that didn't show up.
Oh, right. Yeah, sure.
So I was a little disappointed, but I was like, I had plenty of things to worry about, including keeping my staff and team safe and trying to figure out how to stay alive during COVID. So didn't really think much about it. And a couple weeks later, again, they approached me and said, hey, there's going to be somebody leaving. Are you interested?
Oh.
I'm like, sure. What do you guys want to do? I have 5 or 6 concepts that I've been conceptualizing.
Oh, wow. Really?
I
You
just
did?
had kind of like in my back pocket, right?
Wow.
And so we just sat down at the table and I threw out a few different things. And Chaz really loves tacos.
Okay.
And
Apparently.
he wanted a little bit more of a Mexican spot in there. And I was like, look, I just want the space.
Yeah.
So
Whatever you tell me, I'll start making it.
I'm gonna make it successful.
And was it a taco spot that you took over as well?
No, it was not.
Oh, so it's something else.
So like a little bit too about me, like one of the things, I'm not a cook. I'm not a chef. I am not somebody who will ever take credit for
I've heard you say that before. You're being humble.
I'm not though. I mean, if you ask Bubba, I don't cook. Like, right? Like I probably have ordered more on Uber Eats than anybody in Tampa.
I'll challenge that.
However, what really excites me about being a business owner is brand development and like the conceptualizing and really launching a new entity. Like that was probably the most enjoyable thing about both businesses was that creation, the creativeness behind Empamamas and Muchachas.
Yeah.
So anyways, tacos, right?
Yeah, okay,
so tacos came about, and after going home and thinking about what that looked like as far as a menu was concerned, Burrito at the time was going viral, right? All over social.
I noticed that. Yeah.
So we took it, and I said, I gotta add these things.
Again,
so,
perfect timing.
Muchachas, Casa de los Queso Tacos, and we are just killing it.
Yeah, and I will say, Kristen and I, we have our 2 favorite places, and I always say Empamamas, and hers is Muchachas. She's like, that's her cheat meal. She's got to have those tacos. That's awesome. So, what do you mind if I ask what the other concept you had in mind, or is that top secret?
No, I mean, I have a few. I have a donut concept up my sleeve. I'm not going to tell you any of the names.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Fair enough.
I have a donut concept. I have a burger concept. I have a chicken concept.
Yes,
I have
nice.
a Japanese style concept up my sleeve. They're mainly all quick serve.
Okay,
I'm not going to pretend to dabble into something I don't know.
Yeah,
Could I do a full service restaurant? I probably could, but I'm really good right now at what I do.
Yeah. Well, if you ever, I believe in her so much. I told her before, if you ever need an investment partner, let me know.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And the burger spot, I think that's what Armature needs right now.
Yes,
I think they need like a
I
smash
agree.
burger place, something like that.
I like the quick serve too
right here.
because it gets them in. It gets them in. It gets them out. It's a fast moving place when you're in there.
Definitely.
So like those sit down restaurants kind of. I get it. It's a different
People want to be
style
moving
of mentality.
Yeah, absolutely.
People want to be moving around down there. There's so much to do and everything. So Muchachas then. So again, we're still early on. Do you have any expansion kind of visions for that, or any future things you can talk about, or is it still top secret at the moment?
So I will say this crazy part about Muchachas is that Empamamas was probably one of the more popular places at Armature, at least I think it is. So business was good, and Muchachas actually kicked Empamamas' butt this year and beat them in sales. So our first year in business, we actually beat Empamamas sales, which is insane.
Was it at least a close race?
It was very close. I mean, by not even 1%.
Got to get those tacos.
Yeah,
I guess
it was.
so.
It was like
It was Chaz.
It was like
It was Chaz.
It was Chaz.
which is funny. Speaking of Chaz, so the name, by any means, now every time I see the name, I think of him because Muchachas, the last part of the Muchachas is CHAS. So I used to joke around with him like, "Thank you, Mucha, Chaz." Like
I love
I'm
it.
corny, but anyways,
I love it.
Muchachas from a growth perspective. I think Muchachas is the one to grow.
Really?
I would like to see Empamamas at Armature Works as long as possible.
Okay.
And keep it more of a, if this was right now, at least I say this now, keep it tiny and humble and keep serving Tampa. And it's become a well-known name, and
Yeah.
I don't want to overgrow it, if that makes sense. I think Muchachas, though, is something that could go.
Yeah, nice. I mean, I
And
agree.
it's built to move quicker and at scale.
Yeah, that's awesome. What? Because I know there's a lot of other kind of like creators or business, people who or want to start a business that will watch this. What is some advice you would give to them on getting started? Because apparently, again, you know what you're doing. What would you say to them, to someone else who wants to get started, like in the restaurant business?
In the restaurant business or just in business in general?
Let's just say in business in general.
If you can avoid partners and you don't need them.
He was
Don't
just
have
talking about that.
I won't do it, refuse, right?
I mean, most partnerships end in divorce. I think the average relationship these days lasts 8 years. Not saying that some can't be successful and for a lifetime, but I am 100% owner in both of my businesses, and I'm very, 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 very thankful that I am.
Yeah.
I don't have to ask anybody.
After I just told her, let's partner up.
That was a soft way of saying
yeah,
no.
listen,
If you want to loan
Listen,
me the
dude.
money, we can talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that. I'm
I can
fine
do
with
that
paying
too.
it back. I hate debt. I'll pay it back quickly.
Yeah,
but,
got it.
that's probably one of the best things I did along the way. And again, is making the decision to actually do it is one of the hardest things. Have a plan before you do. And, I don't think anybody can be a business owner, right? There's a lot of talk these days about how poorly people are being treated especially in the restaurant business, about how poorly people are being treated and how underpaid they are. Well, we do just the opposite at where I do. And I know that people that work for me some of them might be lifers, but most of them aren't. I encourage the ones that are interested in starting their own businesses to talk to people, to get out there and really position themselves around the industry or the area that they're into. So,
I mean, the last jobs report, record number of people quitting their job.
Yeah.
But we can maintain it because those people are quitting to do something more productive. They're not quitting because they're lazy. They're quitting because they're just sick of the bullshit.
Right.
And that's the thing is, taking that jump. I mean, you've been through it with your newest jobs, bouncing around stuff. Is sometimes it's just not going to be what you thought it was going to be, and you think the grass is greener. Then you get there and you're like, oh shit, and I'm working for somebody else.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, it happens.
And that's why it's important for small business owners also that have employees that pay other people to work for them, that you keep the culture right and you make sure this is just in my thing, and I'm guessing you're the same way, is like you want to make sure that the standards are set from the beginning so that it's not about you changing the game. Everything is completely upfront from the get, and you can get good people because you're going to take care of them because they're going to be loyal for you and they're not going to waver on the standards that you've set for them from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So I just think that's super important, especially with small businesses, because again, we were just talking about that kid that goes out and wants to take pictures for free.
Yeah.
That could be the start of their business.
Yeah, for sure.
Instead of
That's how you get started.
hanging in the metaverse, you can go out there and go to the brick and mortar and show this person, I'm super passionate about what you do.
Yeah.
I would love to do it. If I was in college right now too, that's what I would do is I would take my passions. I would go and I want to do it right now. I really want to get back in the t-shirt
Gotta
game.
get
It's
this
training.
guy
I
under
want to go,
control.
I literally
It's
want to
all
go
over.
volunteer my time, even though with multiple, I want to go volunteer my time and don't pay me a thing. I want the experience because I'm going to do this, by the way, also close to you. But I don't want to tell them that part.
Right.
But that's what I want to do is I want to
Find
absorb.
that mentor and stab him in the back.
No, not a mentor. But listen, information online is free.
Yeah.
But it's also free if you give your time to somebody and show value in yourself. Yeah. So really, I'm taking information from them without having to pay for it. But also they're gaining value because I'm there helping them in the meantime. And I mean, if you had somebody saying like, hey, listen, I'll work for you as a cook because down the road they want to open their own business, but they say, I'll cook for you for free for 6 months.
Right.
I mean, you might have to do that, especially if the guy's that passionate.
Right.
Well, again, and it's different based on what they're cooking, right?
Right.
I mean,
I think that for so many people, and just to go back to staffing for a second, it's something that, I mentioned we really have a focus on culture this year. Like we have a certain love language we speak. And when we offer somebody a position, like that's really all I owe somebody is an opportunity at the end of the day,
True.
right? And we tell them like, this might not be a place for you. And if it's not, that's okay. We want you to show up to work and love what you do and love being here and love being part of our team. But with that being said, I do believe in loyalty, and I do believe that the people that are at your core are the most important part of your business. We believe in paying them well. We believe in treating them well. We treat each other with respect. But at the end of the day, if this isn't a place for somebody, that's okay for one more reason or the other, whether it's because they just don't like it or because, hey, you know what, it's time for me to quit my job and move on and do it myself.
Exactly.
Right? I just want them to know that they got my back, or I got their back, they have mine. And that's just this culture that we've built there that has really, I didn't realize how, I feel like the restaurant business these days is the easy part about what I do. We've become a well-oiled machine. I have my policies. I know how much I'm going to do in business on this day and this and that, whatever, right? How much I need to order. But what's really been a game changer over the past 2 years is I feel like now we spend more time managing people have more of a focus on the people behind what we do, not as much the actual restaurant. And I used to have, it was the chicken and egg concept, right? Is it your customers, what comes first, your customers or your staff?
Yeah.
It's your staff.
Oh, of course.
Period.
Sure.
100%.
Of course.
But yes, to answer your question too about, putting yourself out there, do it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's great insight. And good people are hard to find for sure.
Very.
And I agree that loyalty is so important. Culture now, people care more about culture than they do their paycheck these days. Like they just want to work somewhere that they feel appreciated, they feel happy, they can get what they want.
And even if it's not the perfect employee, the best part is if their attitude is right, they can become the perfect employee.
Sure.
And I say showing up is 80% of it too.
Yeah.
If you show up for us, and I'm going to show up for you.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
We have a pretty good retention rate. We have about a 90 to 95% retention rate.
Awesome.
We have a few that come in and out because maybe they're graduating for school or this or that, but for the most part, we have a pretty solid team that buys into what we do. And
that's awesome.
And that's good for the customer if they can order from the same person that they order from every Tuesday afternoon. That means something to them.
That's a great point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Well, look, we really, really appreciate you coming on. Can
Part
you
two? Can we do a part two?
When we get this place back to where it needs to be.
Well, and we want to get Bubba on the show too. And I was thinking earlier, I don't know, are you guys competitive in any way? Okay, perfect. Perfect, because I felt like maybe we can do some games. I could I don't know, maybe it could be them versus us, or maybe we swap teams and we could play against each other.
I don't want her to be out of our mindset, so we're gonna say part 2 is happening very soon.
Yes, that would be
I think
awesome.
we have to do that.
That would be awesome. How do people find you, on social or anything else? How do people get a hold of you?
Empamamas, you can find us on Instagram at Empamamas or on Facebook, and Muchachas at Hola Muchachas. And then me, you can find me at I Am Empamama.
Awesome. Very cool. And I know that the Armature Works is having that car show this weekend going on 8 to 11. You get slammed out of that, or is that too early? Because I know it's really early in the morning. So that's probably right when you guys are opening or so?
It is. So we actually open an hour early for that.
Okay.
We have limited menu items that we offer during that time, but it's turned out to be an incredible
I bet
event.
there's so many people there.
So many people.
And awesome cars.
Really awesome cars.
Sometimes they have helicopters and random stuff there.
Tampa on its way up,
It's
up.
crazy.
I'm trying to get them to let my cousin, who's this up and coming race car driver.
Yeah.
He's 14 years old,
Sweet.
and when I say he's going to be going to NASCAR, his kid is incredible.
Wow.
I want him to bring his race car, so I've been trying to get him in on that. So I'll let y'all know when
definitely do that. Definitely do that. Well, again, thank you so much for coming.
Appreciate it.
You guys can remember you can get a hold of us at What's Good Tampa Show or what'sgoodtampa.com. How do they find you?
Vintage_gimmick here or factory.
We'll get into it.
We're at 2213 East 6th Avenue still, but also 2710 East 5th Avenue, 2 blocks down. I'm going to have to send you guys down there before we leave tonight.
Yeah, and you might want to check that in a week from now because the address might change again.
Or both, because of Austin. We'll get into that next week for sure.
We won't go too into that. And I'm at Tampa is Life or TampaIsLife.com. Thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and hit it, Fitz.
Thanks for listening to the What's Good Tampa Show. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at What's Good Tampa Show, or visit what'sgoodtampa.com to get involved with the show. See you next time.